Welcome back to Financial Therapy. It's not just about the money. I'm personal financial planner, columnist, and financial therapist Rick Kaler. Research tells us that 90% of all financial decisions are made emotionally, not logically. For nearly 4 decades, I've been helping people make better money decisions. So what makes my financial worldview different from most financial experts? I blend the nuts and bolts of financial advice with the emotions that drive making them. Good money decisions are not just about the money. So let's get started with today's episode. Welcome back to another edition. A question that I'm asked a lot is, what's a financial therapist? Especially when I introduce myself as one. And basically, I tell them that a financial therapist fills the gap between financial planners, who are the numbers specialists, who typically don't understand psychology, and the therapists, who are the behavioral change specialists, who typically don't understand finance. The response is almost always, well, that makes sense. Money can be rather emotional. Now, a more complete answer about what a financial therapist is someone trained in both personal finance and therapeutic methodologies who helps people think, feel, and behave differently around money, make better financial decisions, and increase their financial well-being. So usually once we talk about this, the next question is, so how does a person know when they need a financial therapist? And recognizing the need for a financial therapist can stem from various signs and feelings that a person has. So I thought I'd compile a list that might suggest it's time to consider seeking help from a financial therapist. And in case you're going, Rick, didn't you talk about this in episode 30? I did, but from a different perspective. So I thought this would shed a little bit more light on the subject. So the first one is the one that I say a lot. You've heard me say this many, many times on the podcast. It's when you're stuck. When you're stuck around making a financial decision or changing a hurtful financial behavior. Recognizing that one is stuck may not be as simple as it sounds. For example, Scrooge didn't know he was stuck until there was an intervention, which was the ghost of his old partner, Marley. According to vocabulary.com, stuck describes something that's frozen or fixed in one place and can't be moved. That certainly sounds like it describes Scrooge. Many people really just accept being stuck as a permanent condition rather than something that's temporary, something that just needs a different approach to get unstuck. The second one is a repeated unhealthy financial pattern. It can also be described as doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. That's also the recovery definition of insanity. We know we need to do something differently, but we can't move. Often being stuck is so familiar to us, we may not even identify it as being stuck or something we can even change. So behaviors of being stuck in a pattern can show up as being unable to go into action around needing to earn more money, being unable to reduce spending or to follow a spending plan, not being able to save, knowing that one needs to draw up a will or a health power of attorney, but just doesn't get to it. Wisely investing money, being financially dependent on somebody is a pattern, or not getting to setting up a retirement plan. The list can just go on and on. Another one is any behavior that you have around money that to you or others seems illogical. This can be behaviors like binge spending, where You seemingly go out of control or don't even remember buying things. I have worked with clients that had that affliction, like a complete blackout. Chronic gambling, which it can be gambling at a casino, or financial vehicles like day trading stocks, doing uncovered puts, calls, the futures market, things like this that can absolutely be speculating or gambling. Another one is enabling. Typically, we think of parents and children enabling a child to the emotional and financial harm of you and the one that you're enabling. It can be underspending. Another behavior would be overspending or financial infidelity. Again, the list can be pretty lengthy. Another thing to look for would be persistent stress or anxiety. So if you consistently feel stressed, anxious, overwhelmed by your current financial situation, that could be a sign. Now, this can be due to a lot of different things. It can be due to debt, budgeting issues, or just the emotional impact of a financial decision. It could also be free-floating anxiety that you just can't tie out to any specific financial situation, just a general gnawing anxiety around money that can just keep you awake at night. The next one is difficulty talking about money. If conversations around money cause discomfort, tension, conflict with your partner, in your family, with friends, or even with professionals that you hire, this can be a sign. It's when the thought of telling someone close to you your annual income or net worth would invoke feelings of panic or terror or fear of rejection. You might see this with the money in the money script categories. Number 4, money vigilance would definitely fall into this potential area of concern. The next one is continued money-related conflict. So if financial discussions in your significant relationships often lead to conflict, or there are deep-seated issues that really impact money discussions, a financial therapist might be better suited to help you address all those emotional dynamics that are going on. We know that financial conflicts between spouses and partners are a leading cause of divorce and partnership splits. So this is definitely a sign. An emotional response to a financial situation that really seems to be a bit over the top. Emotional responses like fear, shame, guilt, or avoidance that are related to money matters can indicate a need for guidance to address those emotional aspects. And again, especially when they just seem a little bit bigger than what a normal, I don't like that, but a normal response might be, a response that's equal to the situation. And this is an indication of history, of history that has not been finished, emotional history that has not been finished. Another one is life transitions that impact our finances. This can be a number of things. Significant life changes are transitions like marriage, divorce, loss of a job, an inheritance. Any of these transitions can necessitate guidance to navigate all the emotional and financial implications. And this is such a big area that there's trainings that financial planners, financial therapists can get to become certified in helping people navigate financial transitions like this. Not too long ago, I had Susan Bradley on the podcast, and she is the founder of the Certified Financial Transitionist certification, where the professional is trained in helping people negotiate these financial life transitions. And almost any transition can affect our finances. Another one is a lack of financial direction. So this is feeling just listless, directionless, unsure about financial goals or how we can achieve them. It can show up as a feeling of ambivalence or hopelessness, powerlessness. Just kind of think of a boat floating at the sea, or on the sea with no motor. Another area is mental health concerns. So if you are aware or experiencing signs of mental health issues that impact your financial decision-making, these could be panic attacks, depression, compulsive behaviors. Things of this type, a financial therapist can help, or a therapist, a psychotherapist that may not necessarily be trained on the financial side. I think if I had this type of condition presenting, I would probably find a financial therapist that's also a licensed mental health counselor. And the last one that comes to mind are emotional blocks. So this is when you would find yourself resisting, and we've talked about this before on the podcast. Just resisting to following through. Your head is nodding, yes, I need to do that, to your accountant, your attorney, your financial planner, or bookkeeper, or anybody else. But it doesn't happen. You don't ultimately follow through on the advice, even what you've agreed to do. That's probably a sign that there's deeper emotional issues at play, not a shortcoming or deficit within yourself. There's something pretty big there. So these are some of the things that come to mind when we can potentially use or seek the assistance, the support of a financial therapist. And remember that seeking help of a financial therapist doesn't mean you're incapable or financially irresponsible. It actually shows self-awareness and a willingness to improve your financial well-being. So oftentimes the next question is, I think I could use the support and help of a financial therapist. Where do I find one? And as I've talked about before, just, rule number one is don't go out and hire someone who advertises that they're a financial therapist, assuming they're qualified. Anybody can advertise as a financial therapist, including you. So the term is not regulated, just like financial planner is not regulated. So you've got to do your homework, and let me help you with that a little bit. The first thing to look for are credentials. In my opinion, the gold standard for a financial therapist is one that holds a license in mental health counseling and has formal training in financial planning, or holds the Certified Financial Planner designation. Now, there's not a lot of those individuals out there. As a financial therapist, I am not licensed as a mental health counselor. So that's a standard that I don't even meet. And also, I think I should point out that that's not a standard. A certified financial therapist does not necessarily hold that standard. They hold formal training in either finance or mental health counseling and can have knowledge in the other area. So if you don't know somebody who has the formal training, like a CFP, licensed therapist, look for the financial therapist that is certified by the Financial Therapy Association. At least they've met certain standards, education, and training. So that would be my recommendation. Second thing you want to look for is experience. Even if the financial therapist holds a CFP designation and they're licensed in mental health, which indicates a level of experience in both those camps, find one that has actual experience in working with people in the capacity of a financial therapist. I would guess most certified financial therapists that you come across are financial therapists that are holding themselves out to do financial therapy that have a CFP and are licensed, are going to have experience in financial therapy. So you also might ask them about any specialties they have. If you're struggling with debt, you may want to find a financial therapist who specializes in debt counseling or bookkeeping. If you suspect that you have trauma in your history, you may want to work with one that's been trained and specialized in trauma. Not every mental health provider is. For IFS, Internal Family Systems, is a trauma-based model. So if you're having a lot of issues around complex business situations, you may want to find a financial therapist that understands business. So just try to match your needs as much as possible with the financial therapist's strengths or specialties. Another area you want to check out is their approach. Ask the financial therapist about their approach to financial therapy. Now, some mainly focus on helping clients develop financial skills and knowledge, kind of more financial coaching, while others focus more on exploring the emotional and psychological aspects of money. And there's those that do equally well in both areas. Almost every financial therapist is going to have a specific therapeutic modality that they feel most comfortable with. So ask them, what's your therapeutic modality? Like if I was asked that, I would say it's internal family systems, which is a family systems modality. IFS and narrative therapy fall under a family systems modality. There's cognitive behavior modalities, which would be CBT, REBT, DBT, ACT. Those are more cognitive modalities. There's humanistic modalities, which would be Gestalt, existential, person-centered, and then psychodynamic modalities, which would be object relations, Jungian psychoanalysis, these types of modalities. So just have a conversation around what their modality is. Next is comfort level. So it's pretty important that you feel comfortable, that you feel safe with your financial therapist. I mean, it's crucial. I would say it's more than important. You're going to be sharing a lot of personal information. So it's really important to find someone that you trust and feel safe in talking to. So those are things to work or to look at. You also may want to consider the following when talking to a financial therapist. Ask them what their fees are. Financial therapy can vary a lot in price, so it's important to ask them about their fees up front, their frequency of sessions, which I recommend at least one every 2 weeks. One a week would be the standard. And some financial therapists have a discount on packages, like if you buy 6 sessions, maybe there's a 10 or 15% discount. Find out where they practice from and whether you prefer to meet with financial therapists in person or online. A lot of therapists offer both options. Many do not. Many licensed therapists cannot do, say, like online sessions with anybody that doesn't live in their state. So check that out. And one of the buggers is availability. As you probably know, therapists are in pretty high demand. So finding a therapist that has the qualifications you want, that is available, that can work into your schedule, can take a while. And even when you do find one, it can take several months to work into a routine, because a lot of therapists are 30, 45 days out in their booking. And finally, just a list of some questions that you can ask. What are your credentials and experience? What's your approach to financial therapy? What types of financial issues do you specialize in? What's your therapeutic modality? Do you have a financial planner? I think that would be interesting to find out from a financial therapist. And how about a therapist? Do you have a therapist? It's shocking how many therapists have never been in therapy themselves. And in the IFS community that I work with, it's pretty normal for an IFS therapist to have their own IFS therapist, or certainly be doing what they call supervision or consultation. So that's another question you could ask is, do you do supervision or have a consultant that you see? I would say a no answer to any of those would be a serious red flag. We've talked about asking about for in-person or online sessions. Ask about their cancellation policy, 48 hours, 72 hours, 24 hours. It's also a good idea if you can read any reviews that are online of the financial therapist. And you can find reviews on a website like Google, Yelp, Psychology Today. There's, I think, a low probability you're going to find them. It's even hard to find reviews on doctors. A lot of people will not even want to admit they have been to therapists or financial therapists just because of old stigmas. So once you have found these therapists and interviewed them, and I would suggest interviewing a couple, you can then really make a determination as to which one really is going to fit your particular circumstance. And if you're a financial planner listening to this, of course, all of these are pertinent. If you see any of these traits or issues in a client, that would be a pretty good sign that they could probably use a referral to a financial therapist. And there will need to be somebody that you have vetted, of course. And also remember that a financial therapist, if you're a planner, a financial therapist is a part of your team. It is someone that you can collaborate with, maybe even partner with your client. For example, I have financial therapists that are in the meetings with my clients when I am taking the role of the financial planner. This really enlightens and informs the financial therapist about what's going on financially. If they're not in the meeting, sometimes we can collaborate and say, hey, this is what's going on. We just had a meeting. Here are the issues. And this can save the client and you as a consumer listening to this money, because your financial therapist doesn't have to work so hard. By that, I mean, they don't have to take time in sessions to find more out about what's going on with you financially. So keep this in mind, financial planner, because I've heard of some financial planners that look at financial therapists as competition. That is far from the case. Look at them as a partner, as someone to collaborate with, that where the goal is the financial well-being of the client. I hope that that's helpful to all of you listening. So I look forward to hearing any feedback that you have on this. I'm sure it's not an inclusive list. And any other comments that you have, you can always email me at rick@rickkaler.com. So take care. Talk with you next week. Thanks for joining me, Rick Kaler, for another episode of Financial Therapy. It's not just about the money. This is where I combine the nuts and bolts of financial advice with the emotions that drive making them. Remember, every financial behavior, whether it appears illogical to you or others, makes perfect sense when we understand the underlying beliefs, feelings, and thoughts. Sign up for my weekly blog at financialawakenings.com. I hope you'll join me again for our next episode.